Bismillah, any questions? Wa alaikum salam. You have an old, new question.
Open question about
An open question.
Hajj.
Yes.
The season of Hajj is coming up.
Yes.
What should be one's mindset when you go for Hajj and get some tips about getting more barakah? The Hajj itself, like the procedure, all the procedures and steps for accepted Hajj, that's there. But any tips on the mindset that we should be going?
Yeah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So look, the first basic thing about Hajj, obviously, after being able to do Hajj, is learning the few pages which are the fiqh of Hajj, whichever madhab it is. Learn it. Whether it's the Hanafi, the Maliki, the Shafi'i, the Hanbali, whatever. Just learn the basic fiqh, what you must do, what you should do, what you are not permitted to do. Alright. Once you learn that, I think the idea of going to Hajj should be like the idea of departing. This is though an optional, or a, how do you say that, a mock depart, if you were to say. So as if you're leaving, you bid farewell to your family, you bid, you go, etc. And the idea is that you go there, and that's why you're wearing ihram. You don't wear anything else. It's the same thing as the kafan, more or less. Same thing as the shroud. And the idea is that you go to seek acceptance from Allah Azza wa Jalla. It's never about doing or performing the ritual. That's already behind you. You know how to perform. That's already behind you. The idea is, was that performance acceptable? On another level, were you accepted? I think if we keep that throughout the rituals of Hajj, then we can take our Hajj from ritual to spiritual, from partial to whole. And oftentimes I've seen so many people go to Hajj and they come back and say, Shaykh, I need another Hajj. Why? I didn't do it right. I was busy with everything else while I was there. And then you got people in the tawaf, he's doing Facebook Live. Here I am, look, you want me, anybody list of du'as, give me. Now this is all nice beforehand. When you're there, you're supposed to be detached. That's why the sunnah is to wear ihram, nothing on you. Total detachment from this dunya. And unfortunately, that's not usually the case. All right, after people, and then also, in my view, one more thing, the awe. And shuf Makkah Mukarramah. The awe of Mecca. Mecca has lots of jalal. Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam and Sayyidina Ismail raised that home, that house. You're standing in the feet of Sayyidina Ibrahim al-Khalil alayhi salam, Abu al-Anbiya. This is no easy position. You're standing in the feet of Sayyidina Ismail, father of this ummah. You're standing in the feet of so many prophets. There are many weak ahadith. I'm not saying they're authentic, but there are many weak ahadith that says between the maqam of Ibrahim and the Kaaba, this was a place of burial of many anbiya. Allahu a'lam if it's true. But regardless, you're already there where Ibrahim al-Khalil is, and where the Prophet ﷺ was, and where the Sahaba used to walk, and all this. So you have to bring that, you have to live the phase when you're going there. And remember that this is the Kaaba of Baytullah, أَوَّلُ بَيْتٍ مُضِعَ لِلنَّاسِ, the first house of worship, Allah says, ever established. In that also, my recommendation is that you do not go to the bazaars every day. You allocate one day at the end of your trip. Hold your horses, your passions, your wants, your wishes. This is not the place for them right now. Because you're supposed to go to the akhirah. And the bazaars offer you the dunya, they don't offer you the akhirah. So therefore, as ridiculous as it might sound, the best Hajj, I've done many Hajj. The best Hajj I've done, from my perspective, I don't know if it's acceptable or not. I ask Allah to accept it, out of His mercy, not out of what I did. But the best Hajj, and all of us, the best Hajj I did is in the year of Corona. And that's when the Saudi government at that time closed the Hajj entirely for everybody. And I think there was 50,000 some people allowed. Total Mecca was shut down. Not even the Meccans were allowed to go as usual. It was like 3 lines around the Kaaba we were. That's it. That's the Hajj. 3 lines, 3 circles. Everything is within reach. And Mina was empty entirely. It was very sad. I shouldn't say it's something, but a very, very sad picture. Because this is when Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik is everywhere. It's very sad to be. Very few, there's nobody. But one aspect that's positive about this, so the sad event, because in history it only happened few times. Only a few times in history. One of the good positive things was what? No bazaars. There are no shops. Food, you had to struggle because obviously it was catered because there was so few people. But if anybody wanted to get anything, it needed to be transported from deep Mecca, which was barricaded, and you had to get in a permission to go through. It was a mess. Like I needed to get an extra thobe. I had forgotten to put a couple of extra or 1 extra, whatever, I don't remember. It was a journey to get it. I couldn't do it. You could not have left. But we had to hire the food drivers. We asked them, please man, you're bringing food, just stop by, you're allowed, you have access, stop by a shop, bring this. Oh, it was The point here is one of the positive aspects of that sad year was no shops. You have plenty of shops there, Sheikh. You're going there is not for the shops. It's a wrong destination. I'm not saying don't go and buy, but allocate a day at the end, the day before you leave, and say this day is for dunya. I'm going to shop, not for dunya, but I'm going to shop, I'll bring my family gifts, whatever. So, and in Hajj, like in every ibadah, take your heart with you. لأنه Allah Azza wa Jal did not ask you to say Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik in your tongue only, but also in your heart. Labbaik, Ya Allah, I am here. You called, I answered. I am here, I am yours. So in that sense, I think those are some of the things that one should do. And depending on your madhab and Hajj, you should try to follow that as much as you can, just because it makes it easier for you. But I do mut'ah. And that's the Hanbali view in general, right? Where you do what? Mut'ah of Hajj means what? Hajj and Umrah at the same time. La, Iqran and Ifrad are different. There's 3 methods of Hajj. And I don't want to confuse you now from a fiqh perspective. I'd like you to follow your madhahib. I'm just telling you what I usually do. I don't do the Ifrad, nor do I do the Qiran. I do the Tamattu' or Mut'atul Hajj. Because I think that the Dalil is stronger there, but again, I'm not telling you not to follow your madhab. So this way, and one thing also, a few things I do extra on a personal basis, you don't have to do. I visit my mother Khadija. I say salam to her. And I pray that Allah grant her the best in this dunya and the akhirah. There is no good in you if you're not good to your mother Khadija. She was half of the ummah for a long time. And she took a lot of heat, and she gave all her money. She became poor when she died. So we owe her. So out of faithfulness and loyalty, I visit her all the time. I don't go to Mecca I don't leave Mecca without visiting her. You don't have to. That's up to you. There's also Sayyidah Maymuna in Mecca. al-Mu'mineen Maymuna, right? It's on the way to Medina. It's in another side of Mecca. It's right off of the highway. You can see it. The site is right on the highway almost. Not almost, on the highway actually. So that's something, I visit Ummahat al-Mu'mineen, the mothers of the believers. And the rest of them are in Medina, but those two are in Mecca. So that's, that's something. Wallahu a'lam. Allah accept from all of us. And the good thing about Hajj also is, don't make it too fancy, and don't make it too problematic for yourself. And don't eat. Don't go there so you can experience food. It's the worst thing you can do. And I learned the hard way. Everybody is different. I do two things: bananas and dates, along with water. That's it. Especially when you're in Mina. These 3 days don't eat. There's no point. What do you want to eat? You can eat later, it's okay. Dates, take some dates with you, nice fresh dates. Water is plenty. And take some bananas if you want some extra stuff. Khalas. All the other biryani and nihari and everything else comes late. After you finish Hajj, when you do tawaf al-wada, and you're saying salam, go and indulge. But before that, don't. Well, you're going to get tired if you do so. And you won't have time. And then the point there also in Hajj is that you don't sleep the nights. You sleep little here, little after Dhuhr, little after Fajr, before Dhuhr maybe. You sleep, you make up your 6 hours of sleep, but you don't sleep the night away in those holy nights. What's the point? Why are you going there? It's not about so you can make up sleep time. It's not a vacation. So I think some of these things should be taken in progress. No time you should have there without your tongue busy with dhikr. Either istighfar or labbaik or qira'atul Quran, etc. Allah accept from all of us. Now, any other question? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question about Jabal Arafat.
Now,
Now, the Hajj is very crowded. What about if you go Umrah, far away from Hajj? Can you go there or?
I don't know. I don't know if you can go to Umrah. In Umrah, you can go to Jabal Arafat. I doubt it. I don't know. I should not say I don't know.
Yeah, because I've been there in 2019 and my wife went to Hajj. You cannot go. It's too crowded.
But in Hajj you can, even if it's too crowded, you'll find, you have to start from the morning, you'll find your way. You'll get there. You have to go. It's part of the deal, Shaykh. Yeah. Inshallah. Wa barakallah. Yes, sir.
How and why should one choose a madhab?
How and why one should choose a madhab? A madhab, a fiqhi madhab, like madhab al-imam Abi Hanifah al-Nu'man, rahimahullah ta'ala wa radiya anhu, أو مذهب الإمام مالك رحمه الله تعالى ورضي عنه، أو مذهب الإمام الشافعي رحمه الله تعالى ورضي عنه، أو مذهب الإمام أحمد Ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah ta'ala, wa radiya anhu. Those are the 4 documented Sunni madhahib in fiqh. Documented means we had many more than the 4 before. But those survived. Survived why? There were enough students to write and document the usul of the madhab, the foundations, the rules, the theory, the legal theory of the madhab. So, but we had many, many others before. Tamam. A madhab is a scientific methodology through which you understand the text of the Quran and the Sunnah and apply them. So here's the text of the Quran and the Sunnah. And the madhab is simply a scientific methodology. Scientific means it's consistent, it's scientific, it is verifiable, it's solid, it's scientific. It's an attempt, it's a scientific methodology to understand what is this text of the Quran and Sunnah saying. And is it saying this, do this as wajib, fard, or is it saying it as encouraged, or is it saying it as permissible? How do I understand the text? How do I understand what Allah wants from me, or what the Prophet ﷺ wants from me in that text? That's what a madhab is. It's a scientific methodology to understand the text. How do you choose one? All the fiqh is speculative, yani, all of it meaning all the issues of differences. So what distinguishes a madhab from another is dhanni. Al-furu' kulluha dhanniya. So therefore, in my view, I don't see a superiority of any madhab over another in general. Because what? It's speculative. Which one is better or which one not better? Which one is closer to the truth, to the text? They all claim, all 4 claim, we've exhausted our efforts in trying to be closest to the text and most loyal to it, most truthful to it. We could be wrong, but this is the best we could. And we examined the rest as well, and we think this is the best attempt. And everyone said that. That leaves you with very good resources. I think for consistency reasons, one should learn one school, and if you want to move to another school, go ahead. But cherry picking is non-scientific, simply because there's a consistent scientific understanding of how do I go there, especially if you cherry pick to get out of doing things, because every madhab has, maybe if you want to call it softer versus more stricter, maybe lapses here and there. If you start trying to look for the rukhas of all the ulama, like Al-Hafiz al-Dhahabi said, فَقَدْ رَقَّ دِينُكَ, then you have no deen. Then you end up doing nothing. Oh, he says this, he says this, he says this, so I take cherry pick. So therefore, the idea is remain consistent to one, and then learn another. And there's really no criteria on what, because if I tell you there's a criteria on which fiqh school to choose, I would be favoring, and I cannot really favor because they're all good. What can I favor? It's speculative. So you choose what you like in this country, because this country is a collection of Muslims from different backgrounds. If you come from the old countries, then it's usually, decided. For example, North Africa, other than Egypt, is mostly Maliki practicing. For example, in the Indian subcontinent is mostly Hanafi. It's just what it is. In the Arab world, you'll find Shafi, Hanafi, Maliki, Hanbali, you'll find a mix. You go to Malaysia and Indonesia is almost entirely Shafi, right? East Africa, same. So you start going into, West Africa as Maliki as well. So, but here everybody comes from everywhere, so we need to be able to accommodate everybody's and everybody's background. Having said that, I don't think there is a criteria to choose. I think they're all speculative in their differences, and they're all exhausted their efforts in trying to reach what the truth is as best as they could. So may Allah be pleased with them and grant them rahmah and grant us also rahmah. And whichever you choose, alhamdulillah, no harm, no harm. No.
Like you said, some madhab is strict or some are like...
There is nothing really called one madhab is strict, the other is not strict. It may be perceived by people, but...
Just to give you an example, when you go to the Kaaba, the Haram, we say during the Hajj time, Hanaftu. لأنه Hanafi, if you take, because when we do or you touch women and it is so crowded, right? So in Hanafi you don't lose your
wudu.
wudu.
Yeah, you don't touch anybody.
Yeah.
Well, khalas, we end the story. And usually, remember in the Shafi'i, the touching is the skin. So when you bump into people, you don't necessarily touch them. And that's what happens usually and only rarely. It happens where people are fighting over each other. And I stay away from the fights. Once I see a lot of people are trying to go somewhere, you go into a slightly easier crowd. And Allah did not make kissing the black stone physically a mandate. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. Move on. Is that better for you than fighting with the men and the women who are just going there? They're going for a kill to kiss the black stone? I think it is better. So in general, that's the only place where you're going to have people fighting each other. Other than that, pretty much even in very busy days, you should be able to avoid. But you do, I'm not saying you cannot take the rukhsah. I'm not saying that. You may take the rukhsah. No.
I think to follow up on that, like in the Hanafi school, like it's recommended to make wudu.
Irrespective, the idea is invalidate versus not invalidate. So Shafi'iyya view that it is invalidate even if you accidentally touch your wife's hand.
Like in one school, if one school considers something haram, the other school may say that it's like a
It's
dislike.
not about haram here, it's about invalidation of something. Right? So we're not saying haram because there's no purposeful here. It's not purposeful. So, and even the touching is not necessarily haram, unless it's coupled with a desire, and textually speaking, anyway. So, it's permissible to take a rukhsah in such circumstances or other circumstances without making it a habit of always choosing rukhas. That's the idea. التلفيق جائز. The ulama call that التلفيق. Talfiq is when you take one issue from one madhab, another issue from another madhab. That جائز. على أن لا يكون هذا هو القاعدة. So it's not that always that's how you always do, but otherwise you don't have any consistent approach. That's the idea. Wallahu a'lam. Now, any other comment or question? Fadal.
Sometimes people's intentions may change during actions. How does one monitor this?
Look, intentions always change, or the objective changes sometimes. And the idea is that you renew your intention. Whenever you catch yourself swerving off, you renew your intention, which means I'm renewing my dedication again. And there's no harm in renewing your intention limitlessly, in a sense. Again, but that should not be, nobody is fooling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't fool Allah azza wa jalla. You may fool the people for a short time, right? They always say you fool some people for some time, but you never fool all the people for all the time. There's no such thing. So, and obviously you don't fool the creator of people, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, always renew your niyyah. It's okay. No, niyyah itself is an act of worship. So renew it. And niyyah is mindfulness of Allah anyway, with what you're doing, and that's a good thing.
The swift stone is the same as swift stone, still the same one as it any time you replace?
No, the black stone is the same one. It was stolen by the Hashashin. I don't know what you call the Hashashin in English. The Ismaili militants that used to live in the mountains in the old days, the Ismaili Shia. Not all Ismailis, as you know, many factions, right? Until today, there are two factions at least today, if not more. The Nizari and the Bora you have. But there used to be another one, the Assassins. That's what they were called, the Assassins. And in order for them to change the political system, they went to the mountains. We're talking 1,000-some years ago, or so. So they went to the mountains and they viewed that the only way they can change the tyranny of the political system that rules the Muslim city is through assassinations. So they were called the Assassins. And that was a powerful, that group became very powerful. And eventually they've had some satellite groups that came and actually came to the Kaaba, prohibited Hajj for 1 year or more, and stole the Hajar al-Aswad from the Kaaba. And they took it with them. And I don't remember which ruler now fought them eventually and got it back, and it was cracked or broken. So therefore they put it in a case, kind of, because it's to sort of put it together, keep it together. And that's the only time that Al-Hajar al-Aswad was taken away from the Kaaba, for those couple of years, unfortunately. Other times when the Kaaba was destroyed, the Hajar was still intact. Wallahu a'lam. Yeah.
They say some pieces are in Turkey mosque, right? Is that still valid?
I don't know. I don't know, but I think that from that time, and I think historians say that it was all brought. And obviously nobody would want that to be anywhere else, but Allah knows. No. Anything else that you all have?
Just on that question, I guess, I heard that the first creation is the throne or pen or light, and our living creation is Jibreel alayhi salam. I don't know which one is, should we?
So we don't have an authentic narration from the Prophet ﷺ that says that designate anything to be first. Nor do we have that in the Quran that designate anything to be first. What was the first creation? We have an ayah that says, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. We made from water every living thing. So every living thing, is that absolute or just living? That is made from water. And therefore, since I don't have an authentic, explicit evidence, I don't have an exact answer for you. And the hadith of Jabir is mawdu' in my view. So therefore, that the first thing that Allah created is the nur of your Prophet, O Jabir. Hadith Jabir, hadith al-mawdu', forged hadith. So therefore, I don't view it admissible.
What about that he was created before Adam alayhi salam? Those hadith are also.
We don't. Yeah, there's nothing authentic in these things, unfortunately. Wallahu a'lam. So.
And finally, for the Irish and the pen, are we supposed to like I think not try to think about them at all, or there's a hadith, I don't know if it's authentic, about like comparing like a ring in the desert. You know.
That hadith is not the best authenticity. So therefore you can pretty much say these are among the mutashabihat. They could mean anything. Al-Arsh could mean the dominion, the kingdom, the rule, the governance, the subjugation, the throne, symbolic, etc. Others, ilm, some people want to say. So something that is mutashabih and that Allah Azza wa Jal did not tell us what He meant with it, nor did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in any authentic hadith. I like to follow what the Quran says, وَمَا يَعْلَمُ تَأْوِيلَهُ إِلَّا اللَّهُ, and only Allah knows its meaning. وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْعِلْمِ يَقُولُونَ آمَنَّا بِهِ كُلٌّ مِّنْ عِنْدِ رَبِّنَا. Those who believe and those who have knowledge, they say we believe in it, it's all from Allah. So I believe in it without interpretation.
Last question on the arsh, like what is the meaning of like the arsh being on water? Like, there's an ayat kind of arsh.
Depends what you choose for the word arsh, from the possible meanings, linguistically speaking, because in the Arabic language, the arsh has many meanings in the Arabic language. Which one do you think it's more suitable to the context now of the verse, since Revelation did not tell us which? Wallahu a'lam. No. Yes, sir. No. Allah loves Medina. I don't, nobody knows. Nobody told us. So those are among the mutashabih again. These are mutashabihat. And Allah in the Quran told us, and He says in Surah Al Imran, which means He is the one who revealed upon you. فيه آيات منه آيات محكمات. Some of the Quran has ayat muhkamat, which means their meaning is definitive. وَأُخَرُ هُنَّ أُمُّ الْكِتَابِ, they're the foundation of the book, those that are definitive, and others are mutashabihat, they're ambiguous. So why did Allah Azza wa Jal give us ambiguous words in the Quran? It's a test, it's many other things, because you have to understand that the realm of Godhood can never be capacitated by human beings. So the best way you can convey something about Allah Azza wa Jal using a created language, which is the Arabic alphabet, which conceives created understandings and conceptions, is to give you something that you can relate to even on a remote level, and tell you قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ لَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Nothing is like Him. But to tell you, nevertheless, السميع البصير ليس كمثله شيء. But He is السميع البصير. You see, nothing is like Him, but He is all. He hears all, He sees all, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if Allah tells you maybe something that we don't understand, we will never understand. So sometimes the mutashabih may be understood, and sometimes the mutashabih we speculate about what it means, like alif lam mim. There's speculation, scholarly speculations, but no one dares to go to the definitive meaning. Only Allah knows. Now, Wallahu a'lam. Anything else? Yes, sir.
I have a question that has nothing to do with Hajj. I have a bad experience happened to me in 2018. I went to this company called Chicago Hajj and Umrah. The guy is from India. When we went there, he took us to a house, his house. I guess his house. He divided the men and the women.
His house in Mecca.
In Mecca, yes. And then
MashaAllah.
he had to wait until
Salam.
after the 10th day, you know, the Hajj is from the first day until the 10th day. After that, he put us in the hotel with the clock for 5 days.
MashaAllah, so He took you from the house to the clock.
Yeah, well, that's when he put us in the hotel. I'm sure than in the house. Like this.
Yeah, look, man,
You know?
that's a difficult one.
Well, I mean, this is what hurts me. Everybody's saying Muslim. When it comes to the way he deals with it, I'm sure that God, he knows.
Oh, no doubt. Allah Azza wa Jalla knows.
Yeah, we have a lot of those people.
The latest process is no one, you don't need to go to practice.
Yes, exactly.
The nusuk, that's why we have nusuk.
So now the Saudi government
Yes.
has standardized the packages of Hajj. You can only go through them and through specific standardized packages, and that's it. And those standardized packages are pretty much accountable, meaning you can count on it in general. So it's no more small operators that are operating and doing with the hotels directly. So you should be okay, but it's becoming very expensive as well. It's very expensive. May Allah help us. No.
I have a question. Do the teachings of Tasawwuf align with any Quran and Sunnah in general?
Tasawwuf is an innovated term. Just like the term Sufi or the term Salafi are both innovative terms. They do not exist in the Quran, nor do they exist in the Sunnah in the way that they are used. When a term is innovated, you have to ask, what do you mean by the term? Then we can judge. So, if you ask me, what do you mean by Tasawwuf? I tell you, Tasawwuf to me is the term Tasawwuf means to me ihsan. That the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, Hadith Sayyidina Umar, Hadith Jibreel. What is Iman? What is Islam? What is ihsan? And the prophetic answer was, أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. To me, that's what Tasawwuf is. Add to that, Tasawwuf would mean tazkiyah. In the Quran, قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى. Tasawwuf means the love of Allah Azza wa Jal and the love of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ قُلْ إِنْ كَانَ لآية حَبَّ إِلَيْكُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ وَجِهَادٍ فِي سَبِيلِهِ فَتَرَبَّصُوا. So, the love of Allah Azza wa Jal, in my view, that's what the school of Ihsan or Tazkiyah, or if you want to use the innovative term Tasawwuf, is. Tasawwuf to me is dhikr. لأنه الذكر مفتاح الولاية. No dhikr, no walaya. Have you ever seen a wali who doesn't make dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal? Never become one. Those who are not dhakirin of Allah, how can they be among His awliya? Those are ghafilin. You're either dhakir or ghafil. There's nothing in between. So if you ask me what is Tasawwuf, I tell you Tasawwuf is dhikrullah Azza wa Jal. Who Allah in the Quran did not say kathiran on any of the rituals. La salah, wa la siyam, wa la zakah, wa la hajj. When He told you to do salah, He told you, aqim as-salah. When He told you about zakah, He says, yu'tuna az-zakah. When He told you about siyam, He told you, subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَأَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرًا لَكُمْ. تَصُومُوا خَيْرًا لَكُمْ. When He told you about Hajj, He told you, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ. When He told you about dhikr, He told you, الذَّاكِرِينَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. Those who are in the continued, perpetual dhikr of Allah. وَالذَّاكِرَةِ اذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ ذِكْرًا كَثِيرًا. So, and يعني like they've always said, الذكر منشور الولاية. Qushayri used to say that, rahimahullah. فالذاكرين this is the sign of awliya of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is how one becomes among the awliya of Allah. One does not become among the awliya by being ghafil. So if that's what tasawwuf is, then sure, we are mutasawwifa in that sense. Yani, or people of claim to follow ihsan or tazkiyah. Like if the tasawwuf is يعني innovations or not following the Quran and not following the Sunnah, then we're not that. So it's a term, and the term doesn't mean anything if it's not defined. Define the term and we talk about it. But if you confound all the term with everything and lump sum everything, تِلْكَ إِذَا قِسْمَةٌ ضِيزَى, then you are not trying to make it fair judgment. You're trying to do other things. And I think if any of things missing nowadays, لأنه also التصوف أخلاق. يقول الجنيد رحمه الله البغدادي allegedly من زاد عليك في التصوف فقد زاد عليك في الخلق. Whoever is teaching you tasawwuf is teaching you akhlaq, value system. Well, today we become a community without akhlaq. We have memorized ayahs and hadith, but where is the akhlaq? يهدي التصوف من آدابهم خلقا. So هذا. أما إذا كان تصوف بدع وكذا وإلى آخره, لا, we don't need that. تمام? So it is what you define it to be. But the term tazkiyah, هذا Quranic term. The term ihsan, that's a Quranic term. That's a Sunnah term and a Quranic term. So we follow these two things. Which I like the name of Tasawwuf. I don't have a problem. لا مشاحة في الاصطلاح. يعني the term is not a problem. What the term indicates or means is the problem. Yes. So don't say Allah cannot. No, then that means you're telling Allah what He can and cannot do. Say Allah does not. After passing Sirat, that means the path is already known. The destination is clear. So the judgment has already been decreed. So anything of settling of the accounts is before that. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Now. I can't read small letters, and I would have liked, any of you who are here, you don't need to write. You can ask, like, hello, I'm here, I'd like to ask. This way I can put a face to the pain. I can pin a face to the pain. And number two, I can ask you about what you mean. But now, if you just write me a question, I have to be a philosopher to figure out what you mean. So therefore, usually I don't answer written questions unless they're really, really, really private. Is it okay to slow your pace or opt out of gaining too much Islamic knowledge out of fear of not being able to apply it all or not be accountable for it? Yani, the question is saying, is ignorance a bliss? يعني الله عز وجل says بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم والذين أوتوا العلم درجة قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون? Are they equal, those who know and those who don't know? Allah elevates you with knowledge. لكن I want you to distinguish between knowledge and information. Al-ilm أو المعرفة يعني والمعلومات are two different things. معلومات is anything. Anybody can have معلومات. علم is a practiced معرفة. So, is ignorance a bliss? No, ignorance is not a blessing. Learn. But should you opt out or slow down? No, you should try to push yourself. Why would you want to retract? Push yourself to practice more and ask Allah to help you. Will you always make mistakes? You always will make mistakes. But there's a difference between trying and failing to try. Will Allah reward you for trying and failing? Genuinely, if you tried and failed genuinely, yeah. Will Allah reward you for failing to try? No. He commanded you to try. See the difference? So, there's a difference here. Wallahu ta'ala alam. What are the rights of a husband over his wife and vice versa? That requires about month-long talk. And it depends whether you're married or not married yet. So Allah help us all. The first most important thing is Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. The two ingredients that must be there in any marriage in order for that marriage to happen. First of all, there are prerequisites for marriage, ya jama'ah. يعني meaning what? يعني الفقهاء, all the fuqaha except the Malikiyya, I think, stipulated suitability factors. Kafa'a they call it. Well, fuqaha are not prejudiced. La, al-fuqaha are thinking, how can I make the suitability factor more common grounds for longevity and success of this marriage? The more commonalities you have, yani kafa'a, if there's kafa'a, then the longer this marriage potentially lasts. Allah knows, like potentially. So they have suitability factors. Among them ethnicity, among them tribal belonging, among them socio-economics, even professions. Look at the Hanafi fuqaha, other fuqaha, what they wrote about. رحمهم الله رضي عنهم والشافعية كذلك كذا. What they wrote about the kafa'a. They look for suitability factors because it's about longevity. Right. You looked for the suitability factors, and so you don't go and what? And just, oh, okay. والحديث that is always mentioned, والحديث حسن في بابه إن شاء الله on this occasion, where Nabi sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam told us that you marry for 4 reasons. لمالها, for her money. I'm just bringing this first because that's what everybody likes nowadays. Money. Khair inshallah. You marry her for her money. For her looks. For her nasab. Belonging of a community belonging, a tribal belonging, a community belonging, social status. Nasab. Deen. Religiosity. These are the 4 factors. There's no other factors. Wealth, looks, social position in community, nasab, tribal belonging, deen. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam solved it for you. فَاظْفِرْ بِذَاتِ الدِّينِ تَرِبَتْ يَدَاكَ. If you have to choose one of those 4, choose the one with deen. And that's applicable to both spouses. You say, why can't I get one with all 4? Please find one like that. There is no one like that. Completion, هذا perfection doesn't exist. It's relative. And where are you going to find this all for? If you find one fact, if you don't find any factor, you have to choose فَاظْفَرْ بِذَاتِ الدِّينِ. You find deen with something else, with nasab, ya salam. لا, deen with jamal, ya salam. Deen with nasab and jamal, ya salam. Yani the more the merrier. Perfection doesn't exist. Also for the prophetic advice, على سيدنا وآله وأصحابه وأزواجه وذرياته أفضل الصلاة وأزكى السلام. He told us 4 things, right? Wealth, looks, and nasab, and deen. All of these 3 fade except the deen. Why? It becomes relative. Money might come, might go. Beauty becomes a matter relative. Relative. ليس الجمال جمال الحلاق إنما الجمال جمال الخلاق. The beauty is the beauty of akhlaq. ما هو the beauty of looks at the end? Look, looks at the first time, mashallah, wow. But come and live with this monster now. I mean, come and live with it. Like when there's akhlaq, إذا نظر, النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم says, إذا نظر إليها سرت وإذا غاب عنها حفظت. يعني if he's with her, she's got a smile on her face, she's friendly. And when he is absent, she's protecting his honor and his home and all this. That's the, what else is it? Really, if you look at it, the real wealth is the deen, wal akhlaq. With the real jamal is the deen and akhlaq. And the real nasab, nasab al-Islam, ad-deen wal akhlaq. That's, so, and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam puts it in the religion to summarize all of them for you at the end of the day, so you don't waste your time. I think that's what one should do. And that means now you come to the issue. Sheikh, how do I know that he has deen? I get that especially a lot of times when I go to the UK, they use the word, he's a practicing Muslim. And I don't understand what that means. To be honest with you, I come from the Arab world, so I don't know what you mean. What does that mean, practicing Muslim? يعني tell me, oh, he prays 5 times. Okay, khair, inshallah. هذا فرض يعني, is that a favor you're doing me to pray 5 times? You're supposed to be praying 5 times, habibi. I mean, hello? طيب. Like they say, how do I know that this young man or young woman has deen? Because iman, who knows the real state of iman in your heart? Only Allah. What do you know? You don't know the deen. What do you know? Akhlaq. That's why there's another hadith, يعني also, يعني maybe Hasan fi babihi at best, where allegedly the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ مَنْ تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَخُلُقَهُ. If you have someone who comes to you and you like 2 things, his deen and his khuluq, notice, but you're thinking, Ya Rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, why do you say deen and khuluq? Isn't akhlaq, value system, part of deen? It is. But because you cannot tell the haqiqah of the deen in the person, but you can tell what? The akhlaq in the person. If the person has no akhlaq, wallah, if he memorized the Quran and the Torah and the Injil, run away from them. Ay wallah. Run away. Run away. Firaruka min al-asad. Like as if there's a lion after you. Run. Don't worry about the memorization. Ibn Abbas allegedly says, كم من قارئ للقرآن والقرآن يلعنه. There are many people who read the Quran and the Quran itself is cursing them for violating what they're reading. Until you read and you violate, you read and you violate, you read and you... Oh, wait a minute. So therefore, look for what? Look for akhlaq. Akhlaq, akhlaq Muhammadiyya, akhlaq Imaniyya. تمام؟ الفرائض must be there. Normal هاي الفرائض. Everybody prays فرض يا حبيبي. Everybody prays their فرض. Everybody كذا. لكن look for أخلاق. And for the young people I say, look for يعني الأخلاق, raw materials, and the willingness to change. I'm just going to finish with this. Willingness to change. Why? Those who are not willing to change are difficult people. You don't want to struggle with them. They have difficulties with Allah Azza wa Jal Himself. وَلَا يُصِرُّونَ عَلَى مَا فَعَلُوا. Allah Azza wa Jal always talks about the musirreen. Musirreen means what? They're not willing to change. And those Allah Azza wa Jal deprives them and veils them from His closeness. So look for people, even if they're not perfect, and there is no one perfect, who have the basic akhlaq, and they're willing to change. So this way, you can work. And life is a compromise. Remember that marriage is an act of worship, يعني ibadah, in and of itself. In and of itself. So for those who can, don't delay, and don't expect, somebody comes to me, Sheikh, I want to marry someone who memorized the Quran, and I said, what else? Bukhari, also Muslim? Well, how do you know if she memorized the Quran is not cursing while she's reading the Quran? How do you know that? And Habibi, look for good raw materials. Family, like father, like mother, like daughter, they say. Look for the family, شوف المنبت. Look at the asl. لأنه you don't want to have with people, you don't want to end up with people with no asl. Asl means original upbringing, good raw materials. Now, this person is supposed to educate your children eventually. If she's doing hanky-panky, is she going to be a good educator for your children? Well, she herself needs education. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy. And therefore, notice when Sayyiduna Musa salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi al-Kareem, after he came, running من فرعون اللئيم خرج منها خائفا يترقب. He went to Madian, Musa salawatullahi alayhi. In Madian, he sat and he found all of a sudden 2 young women were coming, and they wanted to what? They wanted to fetch some water. He asked them, they said, look, Abuna Shaykhun Kabir, our father is an old man. He cannot come and get the water for us, right? He actually went and told them, look, you stay behind, let me do it for you. The young man, Sayyidina Musa at that time, he went and fetched the water for them and carried it for them. Allah says in the description of most of the Mufassirin say these were the daughters of Sayyidina Shu'aib alayhi salam. Wallahu a'lam. The Quran does not say they are the daughters of Shu'aib, lakin al-Mufassirin say. Look how Al-Quran depicts the daughter of Shu'aib allegedly alayhi salam. فَجَاءَتْهُ إِحْدَاهُمَا, Allah says, تَمْشِي عَلَى اسْتِحْيَاءٍ قَالَتْ. Next day, one of them came. Al-Quran says, تمشي, she's walking, على استحياء. Her walk is a walk filled with haya. Haya, what do you call haya in English? It's modesty with dignity. Notice. Not arrogance, dignified, modest. The top dignity, and a dignified woman with dignified, modest. فَجَاءَتْهُ إِحْدَاهُمَا, one of them came to Musa alayhi salam. Tamshi, she's walking. Shuf, Al-Quran Kareem describes here, her walk is a haya walk. How do you walk with haya? Today, people talk with no haya. They talk and they walk with no حياء. ما في حياء anymore. تمام؟ لكن تمشي على استحياء. Even her walk is a walk of what? Modesty and dignity. She knows who she is. I'm a son, I'm a daughter of a prophet. Huh? For the walk is not a walk of arrogance or walk of show off, and you know, you put your you put in your legs all these bells as you're walking, bing bang, as you know, and all these things that the people put. No. There's no تمشي على استحياء. Even her walk is a walk of حياء. لا, otherwise you can stop على استحياء. قالت, she told him, here's my number, call me. لا. هاي قلة حياء وقلة دين أبدا. قالت إن أبي يدعوك. شوف, my father's inviting you to come to our house. لأن وقت البيوت من أبدا. You enter the homes from the doors. Only from the windows. Either from the windows of لصوص وthieves وhighway robbers وbandits. They enter from the windows. Honorable people, they enter, as Allah says, "Utul buyut wa utul buyuta min abwabiha." You enter the doors from the homes from the doors. She tells him what? Inna abi yad'uk. My father is calling you, inviting you to reward you for your service that you did yesterday for us. Lakin if you do waqf in a different way, فجاءته إحداهما تمشي. One of them came walking. على استحياء قالت. Not تمشي على استحياء. Not she was walking with حياء, but she's talking with حياء. Even her talk is a talk of dignity. Oh, you don't want to end up with someone who has no dignity, ya habibi. You will be on the streets, and your children, if your spouse has no dignity, the children will be nothing as well. You sold yourself to shaitan, you and those who are with you. على استحياء قالت إن أبي يدعوك. My father is calling you. What does she tell her father? قالت يا أبت استأجر. Oh father, hire him. Hire Musa. And then she gives the two qualities that she observed, which is supposed to be in the spouse, potential spouse. إِنَّ خَيْرَ مَنِ اسْتَأْجَرْتَ. The best one you can hire, الْقَوِيُّ الْأَمِينُ. Look at that. Two things. قوي means capable. Amin means trustworthy. If any of you have a company or any business or anything, or you want to work with anybody, what do you want? Capable and trustworthy. I don't need anything else. She summarized the whole life partnership. Any life partnership, you want these two things. In any life partnership, qawi, capable. Not, okay, you're trustworthy, but you don't do the job. What's the use? You sit the whole day, singing, dun 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 dun. And what's the point? And I want قوي. قوة here فأعينوني بقوة أجعل بينكم وبينهم رجما. قوة, I need it so you can use it. Not someone who's lazy and forfeits opportunities. هذا ما هو قوي. أبدا هذا مغفل. Delayed to say the least. Fooled. مستدرج. قالت يا أبتي, oh my father, استأجر, hire him. She did not tell him, I am willing to marry him. She did not tell her father, I like him, I'd like to marry him. Oh, no. That's not the daughter of the Anbiya. La. Your father, if you want to hire somebody, hire him. I tell you, when I was there fetching the water, this person was trustworthy on your honor. He did not violate your honor by looks, by talks, or by anything that, non-verbal even. An honorable man. That's an honorable man. تمام؟ ما هو أعراض مسلمين، أعراض مؤمنين. If you don't honor the honor of the fellow mu'min, you have no honor. قالت يا أبت استأجر إن خير من استأجرت capable and amin and trustworthy. Look, all the other things that you're looking for are not important. Not as important. I think that summarizes what one should do in marriage. Look, Sayyidina Shu'aib allegedly, if it was Shu'aib, هذا رجل صالح يعني, والله أعلم. What did he make Musa عليه السلام do? قال أن تأجرني 8 حجج. 8 years hard work he worked for me as a dowry for my daughter. 8 years. And then he tells him, if you add 2 more, they become 10. Allah might round them up. 10 years like this, yani. 10 years hard work. ما هو شوف, the cheap comes cheap. And the rare comes also with effort. You decide. You like to go cheap? Cheap is cheap. And the rare is rare. Everything has its price. And everything has its consequences. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the best in this dunya and the akhirah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.